The widely accepted myth that Mohammed Deif has nine lives may have just been proven slightly incorrect when it appears as though in the eighth attempt by Israel to eliminate this terror mastermind, it appears as though it may have been successful. There isn't confirmation yet, but we will discuss today on the Daily Objective Mohammed Deif, who he was, uh, assuming he's dead, his history. This is the guy who founded Izzadin Al-Qassam, the military wing of Hamas, has been running it. He's number two on Israel's most wanted list in Gaza, second to Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of October 7th. But um, historically speaking, he has been number one. I remember attempts on his life from decades ago. The first one was over 20 years ago, and it's also very likely, this is not a symbolic gesture. Sometimes, Israel in the past has killed the spiritual leaders, the imams and so on, which of course is a great thing, but not. This guy is operationally active and possibly more than Sinwar, the mastermind of October 7th, because Sinwar is probably more in hiding, considering he's higher on the target list, and we know he's surrounding himself with hostages. So yeah, if this happened, this is really, I think, the best day so far in the war. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about it in the context of, this is still not enough. This is not what Israel should do, but within what Israel is doing, and we'll get into the details of why this is really a wonderful moment. Even if Israel had been fighting the way we advocate on this channel, the death of Mohammed Deif would be a very, very pleasant moment and something to celebrate. I'm joined by James Valliant. James, hey, how's it going? Your thoughts on this?
Hey, just the thought that this guy could be dead has made my morning. It really has. I mean, wow, how cool! And to say that how cool when someone dies, rarely can you say that. But this has to be one of the most evil men alive on the planet until he was killed. Um, this guy, graduate of the University of Gaza. This guy, is the fine product of the higher educational system that you'll get in Gaza, but an educated man who could have and should have known better, and surely is just an evil piece of scum. He came to fame by bus bombings in 1996. Yes, he is one of these people who is notorious for killing indiscriminately civilians, as well as IDF soldiers, but innocent civilians on buses. That's how he made his fame. And then, as you say, he is one of the major figures of this Qassam group. And these are the guys who came up with the idea of let's build all these tunnels in Gaza so that we can get away with our rocket attacks, our continuous rocket attacks over the last 17 years against Israel. So even before the recent issue, this guy, of course, was the object of Israeli attempts to kill him. Unfortunately, they hadn't got him yet. He was obviously one of with Sinwar, one of the key masterminds behind October 7th as well. They found him, they say, in one of these refugee camps surrounded by refugees. Now, that kind of tells you something about the folks in these refugee camps. The people surrounding him, they say a whole bunch of other people around him were killed. Those guys had to be in the know. Those guys may themselves have been Hamas militants, probably were. The folks surrounding him, I can only imagine, were. And even if they were not directly associated with Qassam or Hamas, they surely knew where the guy was. So the fact that these other people got killed is also good news, but it's lesser good news. It seems to be, the Western media is saying all these other people are. You'll notice when civilians get killed on the Israeli side from a Hamas or other Hezbollah attack, that's not ever pointed out. Oh, all these civilians. Look at all the civilians that were killed. No, these weren't innocent civilians, by the way. But the way the Western media covers this is disgusting. But frankly, the whole thing is a delight to me. I'm hoping that they really did get this guy because he's one of the truly most evil men on the planet today.
Yeah. And so what we know about what happened or what appears to have happened is yeah, there was some Hamas base right next to the humanitarian refugee zone, whatever they call it. With trees, with like a little building. They had a whole setup there. And he obviously spending most of his time in the tunnels like the rat that he is. But apparently, as soon as he got out of the tunnel and went into that area, he was eliminated along with Rafa Salame, who a Saudi news outlet has confirmed his death, and he's another senior official. He is uh, Mohammed Deif's number two. His previous number two was eliminated a few months ago, so this is his new number two, and now he will no longer have a need for number two, hopefully. And anyway,
To
so
celebrate every time a Hamas leader dies. It's a day
yeah.
for people in this world to celebrate.
Absolutely, and I think again, other than Sinwar, this is Sinwar level in terms of deserving of a celebration. It's so what I like about this, and one of the reasons why. So I remember 20 years ago or so, being in the car in Israel, hearing on the radio. Israel has tried to eliminate Mohammed Deif, and they fired at him from a helicopter at his car, and they're 99% sure he's dead. And my immediate thoughts was, why from a helicopter? Why a small bomb that's, gonna blow up the car? Why not know that this guy who had already escaped previous attempts to be brought to justice in such a manner? Why not, eliminate an area around it, make sure that he can't possibly be alive? Uh, there was reports after that. I think he was that he's blinded in one eye, that he's in a wheelchair. From time and time again, he would you would see pictures of him kind of flaunting the fact that he's still alive and well, and nothing can touch him. So what I like about the news so far, even without having confirmation of his death, is the fact that Israel, as soon as they heard where he is, they dropped massive bombs from airplanes. If you look at footage from that area, they wiped out a chunk of area there where nobody who's actually there can be alive. So the only chance of him not currently being dead is if the intel was wrong. Now, if the intel wasn't wrong, there's an added bonus to this, which is these Hamas leaders who are already hiding in the tunnels like rats are more afraid. The intel comes from other Hamas people. So they're afraid of everybody, and this would cause hopefully some inner fighting. So this is all over really the best news we could have hoped for, and some of us have lost hope. So I don't know if this is a major change in Israel's direction. I don't think it is, but within Israel's current direction, that is certainly a good thing. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. James.
Yes, I mean, this is the way the media will say. It was an indiscriminate attack that killed dozens of people around him. Well, of course, the people around him have to be protecting him, have to be aides to him, have to be people at least in the know about him. So what what the media no doubt will call an indiscriminate attack is the best part about it. Yeah, you're right. And the way the nature of the intelligence oh my God, yes, that's really terrific news as well. So yeah, no, but this is the guy, like I say, who came up with he was one of the masterminds behind the whole, let's create all these tunnels under Gaza so that we can get away with our rockets. This guy has been responsible for civilian deaths on purpose. This guy has endangered the Palestinian people, who many of whom, of course, want to die and be martyred and have their children die and be martyred for the cause. This guy had the opportunity to have his own wife and children killed in one of these attempts, as I understand. But of course, that was his own damn fault. He killed his own wife and children, secondhand through one of these IDF attempts to validly get this evil man. So that's the way I would analyze it. And yeah, unless the intelligence was bad, from what you described, it sounds like they finally got this monster. And so, for multiple reasons, this is good news. But I have to agree with you. In terms of long range strategy, I'm not sure this corrects course here in the way Israel, or frankly, even my country, is approaching this subject, which causes me great concern.
Paul in the chat says, shame on me, on me, Razi, for insulting rats. My apologies for the rats. Yeah, you're right. Rats are annoying, but they're not like Hamas
They're not
people.
truly evil like this human being is.
Yeah,
But the comparison is he's a dirty tunneler and tunnel dweller. And yeah,
yeah. Uh, We have some comments. 72 virgin goats. I don't know. The problem I have with reality is that it doesn't allow a kind of a moment like at the point of death where these people would have some sort of realization that it's not actually happening the way they thought it would. I'd love that. Unfortunately, with the death of their body and their mind, all consciousness of anything is gone, and they will not get that realization. But yeah, that's my objection to the way reality works.
well, metaphysics, I'm kind of glad there isn't an afterlife, but on the other hand, of any kind, frankly. But what we were saying before we came on air here, I was, we were saying that probably was a very quick death for this guy and the people around him. And that's really the unfortunate thing. I would have preferred at least a moment of realization on his part. And indeed, he deserved some pain and suffering there too. So the sad part is that he probably died quite quickly.
So just a bit more about this guy. Now, it's he, as I said, founded Izzeddin Al-Qassam, the military wing of Hamas, has been active the whole time, and has been active from what Israel knows was active in the planning of October 7th. On October 7th, a vast majority of people who participated had their mission. They weren't perhaps aware of the wider plan. They were going to one place to kill Jews or take hostages. But few people were involved in the planning of the thing as a whole, and he is one of them. And in the fighting now against the IDF, he is involved. He is very much a military leader, if you can say that, in Hamas, and his death will have an impact. Now, Hamas is still around. It will still be around if Sinwar is dead, if Mohammed Sinwar, Yahya Sinwar's brother, is dead. But they all deserve to die, and it will have a negative impact on Hamas. And of course, we would like to see a lot more. We would like to see the Palestinian people suffer for the war that they started or allowed to start on their behalf. But in lieu of that, we'll take what we can get. Okay, yeah, you can comment on that, and then I have a different
Well,
angle to this.
when you point out that he's one of the planners, as you point out, these were discrete groups of Palestinians. He knew the coordinated plan. And remember what we've discussed about the coordinate. When we talk about the atrocities, sexual assault, the assaults on families, children, the taking of hostages, that was all part of the plan. There were sexual assaults, mutilations at every area by every group, and they were coordinated sexual attacks, coordinated mutilations at multiple fronts. That was part of the plan, and that was part of the plan that this man in Sinwar came up with. The atrocities, the extent of the atrocities, were part of the plan all along. You could see it at every place where Hamas attacked on October 7th, and you could see it happening in coordinated groups. This was the plan, and this is one of the monsters who came up with one of the most horrifically sadistic plans
Yeah.
in my lifetime.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the extent of the attack and all the details, including the decision to live stream it, without a doubt, he was heavily involved in. And he an evil man. He was not a stupid man. He was a very intelligent person, and the decision to live stream it, they knew what they were doing. Unlike the people we see marching here, they are actual Palestinians who have spoken to other actual Palestinians. They know how seeing that footage, how that would resonate with the Palestinian people, how that would inspire them, how they would think, okay, yeah, we can do the most horrendous things to Jews and get away with it, which they still are getting away with it, and get support from the rest of the world for it. So he knew, yeah, to the most sinister detail, he knew what was being done and why they should do it.
Yeah.
Um,
And the guy behind the tunnel, I mean, he was one of the masterminds of the whole build tunnel strategy. He was one of the directors of engineering, from what I understand, the construction of these tunnels under hospitals, under schools, the things that got away, that allowed them to get away with continuous rocket attacks for the last 17 years. This is the guy we're talking about here. Like I say, he made his fame by coming up with these bus attacks on buses, killing indiscriminately, killing innocent Jewish civilians. That's the kind of guy we're talking about here. Truly, monstrously evil.
yeah, and again, the human mind, you can choose what it is you want to use it for. That is what he chose. Somebody chose to come up with YouTube and with a live chat feature, which I absolutely love, especially on a day like this. Tenebris says 72 month free subscription to Only Goats. That's Laura Seto points out it's still not confirmed. Yes, look, I don't know if there will actually at any point be any confirmation. Hamas probably isn't too eager to announce it. Other terrorists who were eliminated, it wasn't always announced. Uh, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or if we were talking about it before, but Netanyahu in about an hour is going to have a press conference. I think in Hebrew, it's his first press conference in 104 days. I wrote it down. And at the beginning of the war, he would have a press conference every week. Then there were less and less of them. And now it's been over 3 months. So I don't know if this is what it's about, but I certainly hope. And if it's not, it's quite the coincidence. Uh, one of the things I'm hopeful for might be an outcome of this is the impact on the negotiations. So in recent days, we've been hearing that a deal is about to be struck, and both sides are almost agreeing on terms. I'm hoping that this would change that. Of course,
The first word out of Hamas was that this shows how Israel is not acting in good faith, in negotiating. This was a massacre. The way they describe it, obviously, is that this will affect the negotiations. And let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Hamas, you want to get so pissed off, you storm out and never negotiate again. Please.
yeah. You know who I really want to hear from about good faith is the people who did what they did on October 7th and live streamed
Yeah.
themselves. Uh, by the way, Bonnie says in the chat that there's a shameful headline by the New York Times. The headline is Israel launches major attack that it says targeted a top Hamas commander. Yeah, the BBC also reported about the attack, and they reported that 71 people died. I'm sure completely coincidentally, it's also the number that Hamas reports, but the BBC, I'm sure, has their independent fact checkers verifying everything. But yeah, Hamas reported 71 dead, around 300 injured, to which, of course, I say, good. That
Good.
is an added bonus because that's an added bonus, not just in the sense that, yeah, he will not be anywhere where he's not surrounded by terrorists, but it also says, just like the issue of having intel on where he is, says there is nowhere to hide. You can go to humanitarian zones or areas where you're
Yeah.
supposedly safe,
Yeah.
and you can be surrounded by Hamas people. Some of those Hamas people may have been bought. Like I saw a tweet yesterday from Andrew Tate saying Israel tried to buy me, and I said no, or something like that. I don't know what value there is in buying Andrew Tate, although there's a lot of things that Israel does that I don't know what value there is in. But yeah, there is value in buying some Hamas person to tell us where the head of Hamas is. And my hope usually is that those people who are bought are also hopefully killed in the attack, so there's no need to pay them.
Exactly, a lovely dividend if we can swing it. Yeah. Uh, you put it just right though. It is delightful to see that Israel had intelligence about where the terrorists were and that they weren't hesitating because it was a refugee camp. That's all delightful. That's really delightful. And the way, yeah, the Guardian, the BBC, and the New York Times reported it was vile, but we've gotten used to that at this point. They'll give you Gaza numbers. They'll repeat in the report the Gaza numbers straight from them about this so-called civilian casualties, and just by rote we'll get this. And of course, we're going to focus on 71 people with the implication that the people surrounding this guy were somehow innocent. No. The people surrounding this guy were all at least in the know. Most of them probably terrorists and supporters, somehow, helping to feed, protect, and support and hide this guy. So at a minimum, So those 71 people are not innocents, ladies and gentlemen. At least the vast majority of the people who would have gone down in this thing were themselves horrible people protecting this guy or helping this guy, or at least knowing about this guy being there. And I'm glad they didn't hesitate because it was a refugee camp. But of course, we're used to what Western media will do with it.
Yeah, by the way, if it is 71 people, Paul's comment earlier in the chat is, I'm sure, relevant here. Paul says, surely by now they must be getting low on virgins. I'll not read the rest of that comment, but uh, yeah, I mean, not low enough. Let me put it that way. Many more people in Gaza who are still alive do not deserve to be alive, and let's hope that Israel gets to all of them and continues. I do have to say, I saw we've been critical of Netanyahu, you can say, on
Yeah,
this channel.
a couple of times.
But I saw that Lapid, one of the opposition leaders and the person who was prime minister right before Netanyahu, said about Netanyahu having a press conference. Well, if you don't acknowledge your failures, you can't celebrate the wins. I mean, we'll go back to criticizing Netanyahu tomorrow. This is a good day. Like if something good happens, it should be acknowledged. It should be celebrated, especially if overall things are not going well. This could be kind of an inspiration for Israel to actually change its course and decide to fully execute this war and see the potential benefits of it.
No, note that if Netanyahu announces in a little bit that they have conclusive evidence that this guy really was killed, that won't make a difference to Western media. Even if Netanyahu comes out and says, oh, yeah, and by the way, he was surrounded by dozens of other terrorists, that won't change Western media. And hopefully that can slap Netanyahu and across the face to realize, give up on trying to win a popularity contest overseas. You've already lost that battle. In fact, you should try to offend the Guardian and the BBC and the New York Times just as much as possible. That would be the correct measure, Prime Minister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by the way, I do suspect we will have to do a whole show about the response to this, especially if he is dead. But either way, the fact that the response, by response I mean coverage, the media coverage. We will wait to see what the response is from other governments. I'm not optimistic about the British government. We've kind of seen where the new government stands. It's still not bad enough that British Muslims will support them, but it's bad enough that I think the Palestinians should be happy with the new British government. But yeah, look. Um, like you said, we're used to foreign media, and unfortunately, those of us who speak Hebrew are used to Israeli media, not really being on the side of the civilized people versus the savages here. And look, and I don't know. Like we like to say
It's
here, the
hard for me to read Haaretz sometimes. I mean, it's just, I would think
why
that
would you
these,
do that? Why would you do that to yourself?
why would I do
That
that to myself? Well, sometimes I do that to myself because a relevant story seems to be there and it's painful. So, but it distresses me that Israeli media isn't all on board with killing the bad guys.
I mean, Haaretz has been an anti-Israel newspaper for many
For
many
quite
years.
some time. I
Certainly,
understand, and I understand there's freedom of speech and freedom of press in Israel, unlike in the Muslim world surrounding it. So I'm glad that there is some freedom in speech and press in Israel. But on the other hand, I'm somewhat distressed that it's true they're obviously a left-leaning outfit, but come on, after October 7th. In any case, yeah,
yeah.
media, whether it's in America, Israel, Britain, you can guarantee you'll get some voices that are just absolutely so screwed up that Netanyahu must ignore them, must systematically ignore bad press.
I'm thinking the equivalent in the Arab world in general, but certainly in Palestinian society, of something like Haaretz in Israel would be if there was a channel saying what we're saying on this channel in the Palestinian controlled areas. But of
Right.
course, they would be slaughtered if they attempted that. So don't hold your breath.
There was things like Radio Free Europe back during the Cold War, where we'd broadcast free, messages of freedom into the communist world. I don't know that that would even be successful among the Palestinian population because the Palestinian population is so far gone. But that would be the only way. We should have like a Radio Free Palestine where we're having an Arabic translation of our podcasts shot into the West Bank and Gaza and southern Lebanon and Israel. Excuse me,
Well,
Israel, but Iran. I did a Biden there. Yeah, you're wrong, not Israel. I'm calling all my verbal gaps Bidens now.
well, I would still vote for you and gladly over Biden and his
But
opponent.
yeah, I admit it. I could pull a Biden from time to time.
Yeah. By the way, I pull Bidens all the time on this channel. I think in the case of Biden, what's unique is that you have decades of a history of him speaking in public, maybe not being the greatest public speaker, but not having a series of gaffes like on the same day calling his vice president Trump and calling Zelensky Putin. But yeah, that's a whole story for another day, which unfortunately we're going to
Indeed.
cover. In the coming days and weeks. Look, I really hope that we're going to hear from Netanyahu in 47 minutes that officially Mohammed Deif is dead. I am assuming that tomorrow the topic will be something related to this because again, this is big news. This is potentially big news going forward, even if Israel doesn't do what we on this channel advocate. If it takes any lesson from that, from this and does similar things, that will be a very big step forward.
Agreed.
Well, on that positive note, see, people say, and rightfully so, that this channel has become very negative since October 7th, and it has because unfortunately, negative things are happening. It happened on October 7th, and it happened in response, and are still happening. The way the world is reacting is absolutely atrocious, and is the really only issue that we should be talking about, and will continue to talk about. But within that, whenever we have good news, unfortunately, the good news is always somebody dying, but it's evil people dying. So we'll take it. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish there were, freedom was breaking out all over the world. The proper approach to evil was breaking out all over the world. But no, since October 7th, it's clear what the most evil thing to happen in recent years is, and this is it. And this is what the greatest threat to civilization militarily has been in recent years. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Razi and I don't relish talking about evil all the time. We really
except when
shouldn't take
except
it
when
seriously.
evil suffers an airstrike from
That
massive
is
bombs.
the only good news, is the destruction of evil when evil is the issue that we have to face. So no, Razi, you've been doing a great job, and I for one admire your focus. That is the important issue of our time right now.
And Race says in the chat, Valiant Leibowitz 2024, vote this November. There's still time to get on the ballot.
No,
Unfortunately, although I would vote for that ticket, I don't think you guys will win because the culture in America as well has a long way to go. PC says Lammy likes UNRWA. Yeah, David Lammy, Britain's new foreign minister, is an absolute piece of shit. I will say that while it's still legal, I think it's still, I'm not even sure. Report me if need be. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to the people saying hi to me in Hebrew. Oh, by the way, the people who are watching who speak Hebrew, check out my Hebrew podcast, Yaldei Midrachov. Just an hour and a half ago, we wrapped up an interview with Tal Tzfani, the president and CEO of the Ayn Rand Institute. Even when we're not interviewing somebody, we make it interesting. The audience there enjoys calling me a leftist, which is always fun. Uh, Thanks, James.
thank you.
Anything you want to promote while I'm promoting my Hebrew podcast?
Well, we have just started a course on American constitutional law, but it's only available, the first one we did on Thursday. It will be available until next Thursday, but you got to check it out now. And thereafter, all the lectures and discussions, and you'll have a chance to interact on this, will be available to Reardon Medal or Midas Mulligan level subscribers. I'm getting great feedback from the people who participated in that on Thursday. And if you have any questions about American constitutional law or would like an analysis of it from an objectivist perspective, please join us. We're going to have a great time, and we're going to explore the controversial issues of our age through the lens of American political principles. So please join us for that. That's what I
Yeah.
really want.
And one piece of great feedback that bears repeating was from yesterday's live chat on the Daily Objective from Bonnie, who said, the Constitution recording is the best thing I've ever heard. We did not pay her to say that, and it's if you listen to it, you very well might agree. Again, that recording is going to be available for anybody who is a member or a YouTube member, either a member through the website or through YouTube, for until Thursday, until the second session starts. And I think absolutely it is worth that price, even if you can't upgrade to the expensive membership levels that are required for subsequent sessions. That session is worth the price of membership. And with the price of membership, you get a bunch of different things, including James tomorrow on the history. No, it's not the history of philosophy anymore.
We're still continuing a little bit. We're now discussing Hegel. We'll do a discussion of Marx, but then we will turn our attention to Leonard Peikoff's course on logic.
And and of course, you also get access to all the ARCUK WhatsApp groups. Those of you who are on those groups may have seen my series, Razi Goes to a Bookstore, a few days ago when I went to a bookstore, saw some things, commented. It's a one episode series, but it self-identifies as a series. So don't be transphobic and claim that it's not a series. Thanks. All right. This was a very long outro. Thanks, James. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Be well.